Welcome back to another episode of Psychocinematic. Today we are covering my third favorite alien movie of all time called Save Yourselves, directed by Alex Houston Fischer and Eleanor Wilson. And as always, spoilers ahead. Now this is not your average alien movie. It is a comedy, it's a satire, and they make fun of basically what we've become as a whole, as a society, because of technology, our phones. They also get in a little bit deeper to basically the millennial city folk liberal type. This film's brilliantly written and centers around Jack and Sue, who seem to be that classic millennial living in the big city of New York and liberal. They come right out of the gate highlighting our online anxieties when Jack and Sue are just at home and Sue freaks out while she's on the computer, and then Jack thinks she's freaking out about North Korea, but really she's just mad that her tabs got closed. I didn't catch this the first time I watched the film, but I did on my second watch when they're at the party and they're talking to just some people that are there. They're talking about how they're going to be honeymooning in Mexico. And basically they're going to have a low carbon footprint, zero straws, zero waste, but yet they're going to fly in a 12-piece band with all that carbon instead of stimulating the local economy because they want to avoid appropriation. And the idea that someone could lack that amount of self-awareness just makes me want to vomit. So while Jack and Sue are at this party, their friend offers up a cabin in the woods for them, and they decide to go to do a technology detox, basically. But that sets off the whole plot of this movie that seems to ask the question, would it kill you to get off your phone and go outside? And also seems to symbolize the feelings that you might get if you're addicted to technology, or more specifically your phone, that it kind of feels like the world's going to end at times, especially, like, oh, I just posted something. Now I can't just ghost. I have to see how it performs. I'm guilty of this too. The latch on your brain, especially when it revolves around your business like me, it really messes with your head. This film is full of great quotes. So when they are leaving to go to that cabin in the woods, they say, it's not the end of the world if we forget something. Well, it is, but not because you forgot something. And then there's this next great quote shortly after that where they change their voicemails and end it with, "Bye world." Fast forward a little bit. I love the analogy when Jack is watching the ants and he says they think this drama is so important, and little do they know I could squash them at any moment. He's thinking that about the ants. Aliens could be thinking that about us humans because they come in the form of poofs and completely decimate us. Another amazing quote. God, I love the writing. Jack is trying to get the fire going and he can't start the fire and he just says, must be some bad wood. I love that. A great quote, which was also some foreshadowing, was when Jack says, I want to learn how to humanely trap a rabbit, which basically happens to them because the way they get taken off this planet, they got trapped for now humanely in that little crystal shard that goes off Earth. That's fun foreshadowing. So even though they agree to stay off the internet and not use their devices, Sue had basically copied down an article from the internet of how they can, bond together as a couple. But clearly this makes them too self-absorbed because when they're really feeling each other in the canoe, they completely miss that someone's getting murdered right beside them. And so it's just another indicator that the internet has just become a massive distraction. While they're at this cabin, Sue says how she wants to accomplish something this week because she lost her job. I totally understand how hard it is to just be okay with doing nothing, especially because I'm self-employed, and sometimes I can go a week or two without landing a single job. And it drives me nuts, and it really affects my self-esteem. And there is a time to work, and then there's also a time to just be okay with doing nothing. Because even if I'm swamped with work and it comes time to kind of relax, I'm like, I gotta do something. It doesn't feel right to just be sitting still. I feel that way a lot. Jack tries to blow off some steam and chop wood, and now this is the second time he's being emasculated by wood, and he admits that he can't do guy things. I've related to that a lot. I can chop wood and do things like change oil in a tire, but when it comes to things like woodworking, plumbing, all those things, I'm relying heavily on YouTube or the people that I know. God, this part in the movie is so funny when they realize that the poofs are invading and there's a gun in the house. and they opt to just not use a gun because there are more gun deaths from accidents in America than, I guess, actual like gun violence with each other. And so they decide to hide the gun and the bullets in different places in the house. Like, that was just so funny. Something I would have liked to see, however, is one of these poofs getting shot. Since they consume ethanol and alcohol, all that, they would probably just burst into flames. Now they further highlight how we as humans, and maybe even specifically as millennials, just don't really have any useful practical skills for something like this, but they're practicing gathering food and he drops the eggs. Incredibly frustrating. They're literally losing food just trying to practice what to do. But then, of course, they can't drive stick. I mean, these people are clearly useless in a lot of these scenarios. But me, my brother, my wife, we all know how to drive stick. But this part, I felt like they really were targeting millennials because they end up finding baby Jack. And of course, they don't want to bring him along. Why would you? It's an alien invasion. That's not great. But I feel like they're playing on the fact that millennials aren't having kids nearly as much as the previous generations were because we tend to see them as a burden because it's really expensive to exist right now. And some people also don't feel like bringing kids into a world as fucked up as this. I'm not one of those people, but my son's going to be due next month, and we have been making sure to put off having a kid until we could financially be confident that we could take care of his every need. So over the course of like 2 minutes in this movie, Jack's life is both saved and basically ruined by his phone. And I feel like that is symbolic of the fact that, we can obviously use social media and technology to benefit us, to help us grow our knowledge, all this stuff. I mean, it's incredibly pivotal for my business, but it could also be super toxic, a detriment, a waste of time, all of that. So the phone saved his life from the poof's tongue, but then basically gets him killed when he wanders into the alien pod looking for service, and he's so distracted he doesn't know that it's closing in on the three of them. Now, when they get trapped in this little pod that's going to take them off Earth, Jack says, "Are we saved?" And, unless the writers say otherwise, I cannot believe that these are not the same aliens. I don't think that they're being saved. I think that they might just be the same way we would go in and make sure an animal is not going to go extinct, take them from their habitat, maybe to study them, or maybe they're just getting enslaved. I saw on IMDb that people were talking about this maybe being the Deus Ex Machina, and I just don't think that there was intervention from other aliens. I think they are all working together for whatever purpose that might be. So overall, I absolutely love this movie. It doesn't get old. I couldn't recommend it enough to other people. I thought the visual effects looked really good too, and I would imagine they didn't have the biggest budget. I could easily see them doing both visual effects, but then also getting a practical poof, because that wouldn't be that hard. You just kind of cover something in hair. The only parts that didn't look great VFX wise was the tongue, but everything else I thought looked great. Story's great. Just all around a really good time. And that's all I have for you guys today on the movie Save Yourselves. If you've seen this movie, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.